Hi, welcome back to another exciting episode of Tea with Tanya. And if you guys have been following us for some time, you know what kind of content we bring to you. Do give us a like, do share our page, do share with your friends and family, and do not forget to subscribe and press that bell icon to get notified about the next episode first. Without much ado, let's skip to the part that we are going to play today. We have an extremely talented and upcoming, very strong actor in the Odia cinema industry. He has been awarded by the state, the nation, and internationally. And without further much ado, let me welcome Partha Sarathi Ray, the guy himself. Welcome, Partha, to this exciting episode. And we are thrilled to have you on board.
Thank you so much, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this.
So, Partho, you are quite well known in the state, across the state, especially with the number of movies you've been doing recently and all the movies reaching the charts where they should. I mean, Trikanya is still running very successfully, houseful in theaters. But I would really like you to tell us more about your childhood, your origins.
I am from Bhubaneswar. I was born in Cuttack and brought up in Bhubaneswar. I've studied here, and after my graduation only, I went to Delhi to do theatre. But childhood was very normal. I mean, I enjoyed with my cousins. It was a big family, so I had no idea what I'm going to do in future. Like all kids, sometimes I wanted to be this, I wanted to do that, I wanted to be an army officer, a sportsman, something like
So, you chose the career where you can become everything.
everything. Yeah. So that's how, I mean, that was in destiny. So that's how it happened. And as a kid, one good thing happened to me is that I was exposed to great cinema. I remember those days we had only Doordarshan.
Right.
And on Sundays, during the afternoon, during lunchtime, there used to be national awarded movies on Doordarshan. And my father exposed me to that. So I used to watch that. And on Saturdays, especially the evenings, there used to be a lot of movies from the 60s, 70s, 80s, not 80s actually, because 60s, 70s especially. So I became a big fan of Shami Kapoor and Dharmendra during that time.
Right.
And along with that, I used to watch those national awarded films. So my taste was a mix of both. So that's how I could develop a balance of good cinema. Like, it has
Right.
to be entertaining and engaging, but at the same time, it has to be sensible and sensitive. So that's how I grew up, and I used to do all things that a kid used to do. I mean, I think we were the last generation who had this privilege of playing with kids rather than
Mm-hmm.
on phone. And there used to be load shedding almost every evening, and all kids in the locality used to come together, and that
Right.
kind of the kind of world that we were in those days was amazing. I mean, I can't explain it in words actually.
Right. So, Partha, this is something I've always wanted to ask an actor. Like a career person, let's talk about professional career person. Why would a person choose acting? Because acting comes scripted, like you have to play a role and the role is completely scripted. And you don't have a lot of liberty creatively to go around it. So, how do you manage that pressure?
Again, I mean, when you're talking about script, I mean, I think your question is too wide to answer in a few lines. But if you talk about the scripted thing, again, I mean, every story has a certain parameter. Like, it starts from somewhere and ends somewhere, and it's totally the director's vision, and of course, the writer who has written it. So you have to stay within that parameter and explore what exactly you can do
Right.
within
But
that
you are a
parameter.
very creative person yourself. I mean, that's what your Instagram bio also says, right?
I don't know that. I think that way, but it's up to people to decide if I'm really creative or not.
But how do you stop yourself with, from interfering too much with your director's vision of the movie?
I have to give in, like as an actor,
Is that
when you
tough?
it's tough with when you're dealing with idiots, but when you have good people around you, fortunately, which I had most of the times, my job was easy because they had a very clear vision,
Hmm.
what they wanted from me and what they wanted from this particular character.
Hmm.
So that's how I gave in. When I have a team around me who has a same school of thought, the job becomes easier, and there's not much conflict except a few brainstorming here and there, and a few suggestions from both the ends. And when you have similar mindset people, you kind of come to a middle point, and that's how you work it out.
Right. So, Partha, I've already met you before in person, right? We've already had a few interviews before for other channels, but this is something I really want to understand. How do you keep yourself from revealing everything about your upcoming movie? Is it too tough? Because if I were you, I mean, I would talk about it endlessly and forever.
I know I somehow matured during this phase. And again, I mean, it depends on the team again, because end of the day, it's a teamwork. So if the team wants to keep it a secret and hold it and reveal it step by step, and they have a proper marketing strategy that this is how we're going to go about things, then that's how it should be. But if the team is fine with, like, yes, you can post pictures, you can speak about it up to a certain length. For example, for a movie like Trikanya, which had a lot of twists, it is very clear from the beginning that we can't reveal about the storyline or
Yeah.
what exactly I'm doing as an actor, what my character is exactly doing in the movie. But pictures, yes, we could have posted. But in some movies, again, when I was doing Charitra, I remember when I was doing Falguna Chaitra, the directors were very clear that not a single picture has to be posted before things get declared officially.
Right. So, Partha, you mentioned that you started your career from theaters. What has been your longest running role in theaters?
I did only 5 plays. I didn't do theater for a long time. I did theater, whatever theater I did was in Delhi. So, longest running role, as in, we did a few shows only. We used to do workshops, and we used to devise plays and then used to perform. The best reception I remember we had was at Kamani Auditorium at the Bharat Rang Mahotsav, National School of Drama Bharat Rang Mahotsav Film Festival, sorry, Theatre Festival. I used to work with Mr. Barry John then, and we performed a play called "It's All About Sex, Honey" at Kamani
Oh,
Auditorium.
nice.
And it was a trilogy actually. It's all about the three most important things in life, which
Life.
which is the reason of all the conflicts and maybe all the good things also. God, money, and sex. The
Right.
world revolves around these three things. So the play that I we performed first was "It's All About Sex, Honey," and we were at Kamani, which had a capacity of around 650, 600, 650. And the auditorium was full, and there were more than 500 people who were waiting outside. Some just kind of pushed themselves inside, and they watched it from the stairs and sat
So,
on the
was it because the
sidelines.
play was that good or just the name of it?
Not the name of it. The play was hyped because again Barry John was coming after a long time. He's a big name in Delhi theatre circuit, and he was coming up with a play after a long time, and it was hyped. Of course, the marketing was good, and of course the play was also that entertaining and engaging, and that's the reason why there was a lot of rush there. And again, we did a Rajasthani version of, like, Hindi Rajasthani English version of a play called Oedipus. We performed it at the British Council, and that was also very flooded. I mean, like, for 3 days there was like a huge rush,
Right.
and I think I loved that as an artist, as a performer. It was a great feeling. We were just starting. I was just starting to uh, like feel as an actor and feel different characters that I was playing, and when you see so much of crowd, and you feel good, like,
Mhm.
like
It
the
comes a
crowd is
full
for
circle.
us, like
Yeah.
for the play, and it feels good
You
when
feel
people appreciate
celebrated.
your
Yeah.
work and you feel celebrated, and it feels good.
Right. So let me harp down on you more. So you said the play that you were performing, it harped on three main points of life, like God, money, and sex. What's your personal take on three? Let's
Again, I
talk
mean,
about
these
God
are
first.
actually very personal things, especially God and sex. About money thing, it's important, but I don't know. As a human, I've never been a very materialistic person right from my childhood. Uh, yes, money can do a lot of things. It's important in life, but it's not the most important thing for me, and not the most important driving factor for me,
Right.
and neither God or sex.
Hmm.
But yes, these three things are the main points, which is the reason of conflict. If you see any conflict in this world, I think these are the three things which are the root cause of it.
Right. So let me ask
So
you this.
that's why I try to keep a balance in everything.
Like you kept a balance in the
I have
answer.
kept a balance. Yeah. Not the answer. I've never been a diplomatic
Yeah.
person, so I think this is what I am.
Right.
I have maintained a balance in all the three things, and So I never go overboard with all these three things. So I'm in a
Right.
safe zone.
Good for you.
Good for me, yeah.
So, I would like to understand when you said that you've done like, 5 plays and then you moved into the cinema industry in the state. What is more important to become an actor? Is it talent or is it training?
See, talent is nothing without training or following a certain process. I'll give an example from cricket. A lot of people said that, Rahul Dravid or Steve Waugh, they're not as gifted as Sachin Tendulkar or Brian Lara. But they made a name for themselves and they did amazing, and they were considered world class players through their dedication, discipline, and hard work.
Right.
So I feel that talent without discipline is nothing. It's a waste. It's useless.
Right.
So it has to be a balance of both.
Right. So, tell me as an actor, what kind of people make the most successful actors?
That is again a very tough question because I have never thought
I've
about
come
it.
prepared.
I know, but I really can't answer that question in a.
So, this question, I'll just give you a backstory to it. So, this question is inspired by something I saw very recently. A Hollywood celebrity, in one of his interviews, he mentioned that, readers are usually empaths. They have a lot of empathy because readers, they always put themselves in other
No, no,
people's.
these are. I think these are just tools, and these are, I would say, certain disciplines to become a better actor. But if you ask me, like, what kind of people can become better actors, that is again, I mean, that cannot be answered within a very
There are no
like
certain
few
brackets.
sentences.
Yeah.
There's not a certain bracket that only these kind of people can become the best actors. You can be a very good liar and become a good actor. You can be a very good liar but still become a very bad actor. Okay, so you can be a great reader and still can't act. You can be a great reader and can act. These are paradoxes.
Right.
And the same goes with acting also. Like
Right.
one of my teachers told me that acting is something that cannot be taught, but it can be learned
Okay.
because it's a lifelong process of learning, of observing. Right now I'm here talking to you and I'm observing you and trying to pick up things from you, some mannerisms or something that I can inculcate in some of my characterization that I do in future.
Right.
So again, I mean, it's a very broad question. I mean, it cannot be answered within a very short sentence or one word or two words. Ki these kind of people only can become the best actors.
Right.
It's not true.
Is lying a skill for actors?
Can be because it's imaginative. When you are lying, I think that you are actually imagining things.
I'm a
I'm
very
not a good liar.
imaginative person.
I'm not a very good liar, but I don't know, man. It's so far so good. I have been praised as an actor by a lot of people. So again, I mean, personally, I think there's many more miles to be covered and a long place to go. There's a long distance to be covered as an actor, but I'm not a very good liar. So again, I mean, as I mentioned, it's a paradox, like that goes with the entire process of acting.
Right. So, is it easier for you to play a role that you relate to more? Or is it like, you can just do whatever is thrown at you?
See, I can do whatever is thrown at me, but again, I mean, if you're relating with a certain character, it's easier to do. But I don't know, I somehow love challenges, and
So, tell us about a character that you have most related to so far.
there are many characters actually that I've done and I've related to those. For example, I did a short film called Boffin. Though I was playing a character who was on the verge of schizophrenia,
Okay.
but the person before that, I could relate with that character a lot.
But you couldn't relate to the transition.
I could not relate to the transition, but somehow I managed it, and it's one of my best performances that is considered by people and of course by me also. That character is a good reader. He's an intellectual genius. He's someone who doesn't believe in organized religion. He speaks against crony capitalism. He believes in living free like birds and animals, which is very much me. And again, I mean, organized religion thing also. He's that kind of a character who goes through a phase and something happens in his life, and then he's on the verge of schizophrenia. And it was shot during the COVID period. When he actually gets into senses during the COVID period, he goes out, he sees things like he doesn't see a human being on road, like very few people, and he see birds and animals roaming freely. He feels good. He's actually enjoying those moments. It was a very metaphorical thing for him, and he was enjoying the entire thing. So the movie was about that. So I could relate with that character in terms of what he was before getting being on the verge of schizophrenia. Like he's almost a schizophrenic now.
Didn't it scare you as a person? Because if you could relate to the person before the schizophrenia phase started, I mean, didn't it scare you as a person that maybe if I relate to that person so much, I mean, this could happen to me as well?
No, I mean it doesn't scare me. I mean it's a job of an actor, and again, I mean it's about perspective. It's what people think. Sometimes when I'm making a statement, it's right for me. It doesn't have to be right for you necessarily. So we have different perspectives, everyone. So schizophrenic is again for the society. Sometimes such people speak the most sane things, and
Get misinterpreted.
so it happens. Like you'll see a lot of people when Kejriwal spoke sense, and he said some right things and some of the harshest truths. He was considered mad, and he's an IIT. Come on, I mean, he's not a stupid dumb guy who will come and speak nonsense. So he
Right.
was actually talking sense.
Hmm. So, like I was asking, so if you have you done roles where you could not relate to the character at all and that took every ounce of confidence and strength out of you as an actor?
Not exactly, that hasn't happened yet.
Would
But
you
yes,
like that to happen?
sometimes no, never, of course. I relate as in I have taken it as a challenge, and I have given some of my best performances as an actor like that, because there was one character where I was playing an out and out antagonist, and I was literally misbehaving with the female protagonist. I was physically violent to her. I literally hit her with the belt. I slapped her. I kicked her,
Hmm.
her and her sister. And that is totally not me. I've never done that in my life. I mean, so that was one character that was totally
Did it
not me.
disturb you?
No, because I felt good as an actor, because it was a challenge for me to do
Right.
that convincingly. And I remember when I got the comments after the movie released. It was a TV film. The quality was not good. I was not happy with the final output in terms of quality. The sound mixing was horrible,
Hmm.
because having a good voice like mine, and then when I what I heard on screen, it
Was
was
very
not.
different.
It's not different, as in there was no mixing at all. I mean,
Mm.
it's because of a budget thing, and it released on TV, and it was a satellite film.
Mm.
So this is the thing with people, when you don't have knowledge of cinema logistics and you do something that is out of the canvas or out of the given particular budget,
Hmm.
then things go haywire and things doesn't happen properly.
Right.
So towards the end, they didn't have budget for a lot of things, and the sound design went horrible. I mean, they didn't have budget for that, so that didn't happen, and everything was sounding horrible. But still, that performance was really good. I really loved that characterization. Some of the scenes that I created with the director, we sat together and created some amazing scenes together, which was I loved it. I mean, as an actor, uh, but yes, that was totally not me. And I remember
Right.
a lot of people told me that,
It was
this
very
kind of
believable.
believable, and you scare the shit out of us. And the way you were behaving, we were like shocked. I mean, this is Partha doing things. And I said, no, it was not Partha, it was Aditya Chotra, the character.
Oh.
Uh, then there was another character where I was playing a very patriarchal, misogynistic guy, but very protective about the family, which I could relate with. It was a Muslim guy. He was a Muslim community leader, and at the end, the movie turned out to be a thing of honor killing. I mean, he kills his own sister, who he loved the most and who he was very protective about and very supportive of also.
Hmm.
So that's what I mean. Circumstances sometimes change you completely, and I was playing a very tough guy who's very protective about his family. But if something happens to their family, then he can go out of his zone and be very aggressive and violent. And that was one character I loved performing, and I was appreciated for that also. So it was a Muslim community leader that I played in that movie. So these are two characters again. I mean, I could not relate with much, but
You
I
did.
love doing it as an actor.
Yeah. So, Partha, tell me something. When two people sit and talk, and subconsciously we start picking up their mannerisms. And when you get your match on stage while you're performing as an artist, as an actor, and your, like your protagonist or the person opposite to you is as good as you, how do you stop yourself from getting influenced by them?
You have to be focused on what you are doing. You have to understand the what your character demands. And I think theater is much more easier because you have a lot of rehearsal that goes into it.
The
So
movie
you're
doesn't?
already movie, you don't have that much time, especially in places like Odisha, when you don't have decent budgets for everything. We do not have workshops most of the time. Sometimes we do have, because I insist on doing that when I'm involved right from the beginning. But when I'm not, it's not within my control. And there has been a lot of times when we don't even get a script. You just go to
Hmm.
the set and this is what we have to do.
Wow.
So I just do things and come, and there I don't think much. But in theater, there's no chance of getting influenced by the other person, because you're totally very sure of what you are doing as an actor or as a character, like what your character requires to be done. You are into it already, so there's
And
no
multiple
chance of
rehearsals, of course.
multiple rehearsals, of course, and so there's no chance of getting influenced by the other person.
Right.
But yes, after while you're performing, you kind of get in awe of if someone is really good.
Hmm.
You try to learn from that person. I mean, the
Have you
work
ever had
ethics.
a stage fright?
Not really, no. Because in theater, you actually have rehearsed it so many times that
You develop a muscle memory.
it
Okay.
kind of happens, and there's no chance of getting frightened on stage.
Right.
But again, as a kid, as a human being, I've been through phases. I remember during my school days till fifth or sixth standard, I was a very vocal person. I was an extrovert, out and out extrovert. I used to participate in all debate competitions and all things that are required to be in front of people and public. I was very confident as a kid, but there was a time when another 5 6 years when I was into sports and I was into other activities, and I kind of developed a fear of facing people. Like
Hmm.
again, as you say, you can call it stage fright or
Hmm.
fear of facing people and speaking in public. I kind of developed that during there was a time.
Hmm.
And then again, after going to Delhi, when I started working in a BPO and then I joined theater, again that thing went and I was back to normal, and now I can face anything, anyone. I've become.
But like especially in the current given situation that we live in, every person that becomes a celebrity or every person that's getting celebrated publicly has to choose their words very consciously while you're speaking on camera. Do you also feel the same way about yourself, that you don't mince words when you're talking to the camera or you're talking to somebody in front of the camera, and you're always politically accurate, or you're at least not being too inclined towards any one particular side? Do you feel that about yourself?
See, I'm the last person, at least in this Odia film fraternity, who has been politically correct.
I
I've
don't
never
think any
been.
one of us been politically correct. I mean, we don't have the conducive environment now that
No,
we
no, no.
can.
I know most of my colleagues. I see them. They think so much while speaking. I've never done that. Everything comes very spontaneously to
Very
me and
naturally.
very naturally, and I speak my mind. I mean, I've called a spade, and I have rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, which was not intentional from my end.
Hmm.
But people have felt that way, and it has disturbed people and offended people too, which I
Does
never
that
meant.
does that compromise your stand as an actor in the career?
Definitely, I've lost out on movies. I remember I have been to places when I've asked about script. I've been very vocal about the kind of films that should happen in Odisha, and that has offended people.
Oh wow.
I've asked script, and that has offended people. I've asked about my character, and that has offended people.
Hmm.
So, what do you do in that scenario?
Hmm.
It's better not to work with such people. That's why I said, I mean, most of the times I've worked, it has been with like minded people. So, I have been fortunate, or you can say, I have chosen things carefully. It's
Hmm.
not that I have got a lot of offers, but
Hmm.
I have refused offers too during my bad phase also. There have been phases when I was not getting enough work, and I was a little disturbed that why I'm not getting good work, but still have refused projects.
Hmm. Because you did not,
It did not, I could not gel with the team.
right. So the answer that you just gave is that you've always been very outright, and you've always called a spade. And so is that why you've termed yourself as a rebel on your Instagram bio? Is that why, or is there a story to it?
Really, it is that way. And as a kid also, I have chosen things that doesn't go according to the norms of the society. I remember even in my career choice when everybody, like any Indian parent, my parents also wanted me to be either a doctor or an engineer or do an MBA and
Get
have a normal
settled.
job,
Yeah.
have a proper safe corporate job. I'm not blaming them for thinking like that because that's how they have been institutionalized.
Mhm.
I won't say that they have grew up like that. I would say they have been institutionalized because it has been ingrained in your mind right from the childhood that this
This
is
is
the
the
way
right,
of living, this
yeah.
is the right thing to do, this is what the society thinks, what will people think. And I think what will people think is the most dangerous thing on this planet because that has killed more dreams than anything else in this world.
But tell me something, Partha. You being an adult right now, and you having seen enough life so far, would you say that your parents, even if they were not entirely correct in their thoughts? Because you see, I mean, Bollywood is there, it has already set a standard for itself. Then you have the South Indian movie industries, be it the Telugu movie industry, be it the Kannada movie industry, or you can even compare, like up to a certain level the Bengali film industry has also taken up themselves to a certain level, and they have OTT platforms that is doing great throughout nationwide. But somehow I don't see our state cinema industry touching the benchmark or even competing with them at this point. Would you call yourself, or would you call your career as an actor in the current industry secure?
No, it's not.
And what if you could point out three most important reasons why you don't feel secure as an actor in the Odia cinema industry? What would you point out? Any three?
The first thing is that we have actually abused the privileges that we had in a certain phase. I mean, there was a period of almost more than 2 decades where we have actually created shit in the name of cinema.
Absolutely.
I'm not apologetic for the choice of words. We have actually created shit in the name of cinema and we have lost our credibility.
Right.
So we can't blame the audience right now that
To come back to
to
us.
come back to us. It will take some time, but I think the transition has already started.
Mm-hmm.
For last 3 years, we have been giving good content on a consistent basis. There
Mm-hmm.
have been films which are actually genuinely good.
Mm-hmm.
Some have done well at the box office, some haven't, but still they've created an impression that these were
They're
actually
acclaimed,
good
yes,
films.
huh?
They were acclaimed in some way. So the perspective of people has changed a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it will take some time. As they say, Rome was not built in a day.
Right.
So it will take some time. When you have actually destroyed a certain thing which was
Hmm.
actually good, we had the best phase of Odia cinema in the 70s and 80s.
Hmm.
We have given some of the best films, and Odia cinema had some standing at a national level.
Hmm.
They were considered, they were seen with respect and if not awe, at least we had some respect at the national level, which we lost during that phase of from 90s to the 2000 eras and the
Even after
first 2 decades of the
2010, yeah,
2000, yeah,
absolutely.
till 2020 21. It was only after the COVID phase that this transition happened, and
Hmm.
some good things are happening right now, and I'm sure the percentage will increase, and people will come back to theaters on a
Hmm.
consistent basis, but it will take some time.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that was one big factor why
Hmm.
that happened, and again, why this industry
Is not there
is
yet.
it's actually not an industry. I would say it's more of a fraternity than an
Yeah.
industry. A lot of cinema illiterate people came in as makers, and they were the ones who had the power and the control things. And another one would be, there were a lot of producers who came in who was actually financiers. They're not producers. A
Mm-hmm.
producer has a basic knowledge of production,
Okay.
and a lot of people that came in, they were actually financing movies, but they termed themselves as producers, which is not the norm outside. If you
Just
see
for the
all the big
sake of
industries,
general understanding of our audience, could you differentiate between a producer and a financer?
a producer is someone who actually produces a film. He
Uh-huh.
sees to it that, from the beginning phase, that, the movie, the pre-production happens smoothly. The production phase, the shooting phase, that also goes smoothly. The post-production happens smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets released, and the promotional part also. So
Okay.
it's a job of a producer to get all these things done properly. That's
Mm-hmm.
what a producer is. He produces things and makes things happen.
Right.
A
And a
financer is
financer
someone who
is
actually puts in money into it,
okay, like an investment.
investment. But
Uh-huh.
here, most of the producers that you see, most of the producers, I'm not saying all, they're basically financiers.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the directors that you see, they're actually more of event managers than directors.
Right.
Because other than the creative part, they get involved in everything else, which
Right.
should not be the case. So that's why that was the major reason why we had such horrible content,
For the last couple of
dearth of
decades.
content in Odia cinema, I would say. I would term it properly. And so
But we're
these are
getting
the
there.
three major reasons why our industry lost the credibility. And it was an industry, and it could have been a bigger industry had
Absolutely.
they continued the good work that was done in the 70s and 80s. But then we screwed it up.
Yeah,
And
I mean, if you look at the history of Odia cinema industry of fraternity, as you termed it, I mean, we've been blessed with some really gifted people, be it the music segment, be it the directorial segment, be it the acting segment, but somehow we could never get the whole picture together.
yes, it's a teamwork, and that's what I said. When the people who are actually controlling things, they don't have knowledge of things. They're not sensible people. They cannot produce good things.
Hmm.
And if you talk about the talent that you're talking about in Odisha, you would be shocked to know that in the mainstream Hindi film industry, a lot of technicians, especially in the editing department, sound department, and cinematography department, are
Hmm.
Odias.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got to hear about it a lot in the recent times. In fact, I mean, a lot of Odia people have been doing tremendously well as DOPs in a lot of mainstream Bollywood.
DOPs, sound
Yeah,
department, like sound engineers, people who are doing sing sound or sound mixing and sound department. You will see most of the Odia people over there, and of course, editing department too.
absolutely, absolutely.
And we have amazing technicians, but if they come together, and here in Odisha, if we can monetize things properly and do things professionally, then things can change a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, to look at the bright side of things, I mean, like you mentioned, at least a change has started. Let's hope and pray that this change is consistent and not very sporadic, and it continues, and we might actually live to see the evolution of Odia
Exactly.
cinema industry, the fraternity actually become an
Become an
industry.
industry.
Yeah. And so, I've met you before, and what has always appealed to me about you as a person is you don't mince words and you are so outright about certain things. And which brings me to my next question. You know, we need more people like you. The community needs more people like so. Can we imagine you in politics in the near future, or maybe later? Let's say.
I don't know. I mean, I don't see myself there, because being a person like me, or like whoever I am, I don't fit into a political system, because there you have to be very diplomatic. You have to be very cautious about whatever you speak. And I'm not that kind of person. And I don't think I can fit into any party, because I'm not a conformist. I'm a very
You're very regulated. Yeah.
Huh,
So
I cannot be very artificial and speak things that actually not doesn't come from my heart. So that's why I don't see myself there.
So, this has become a trend. A lot of actors are switching their careers to politics now. How do you feel about that as an actor, as a fellow actor? How do you feel about it? Do you think actors make good politicians?
I don't know about politics, because if you talk politics, then again, if you're smart, if you are calculative, if you are very diplomatic, then you can make a good politician. So it doesn't necessarily have to be an actor or
Mm-hmm.
non-actor. But what I have seen from my observation, I have not seen a single actor other than Sunil Dutt Saab who has actually done something for the people after getting into politics. So when people say that we are here for to serve people or to do something good for the people, I find it very pretentious. And I don't know. I mean, it doesn't convinces me.
It doesn't appeal to
It
you?
doesn't appeal to me.
Right. So, like I said, there are things about your personality that has appealed to me greatly. And one of them would be you being one of the most sorted out people that I've spent time with. Which brings me to my next question, and that is, but you've not always been this sorted out, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Have you always been this sorted out about your thoughts, about your words, what you're going to say next? So tell us about an incident that changed you as a person.
There have been many, actually. We go through phases in life, and it changes us, not if not as a human being, but at least our perspective changes. I think had I not been to places outside Odisha and been here all my life, maybe I would not have been this broader person in terms of perspective. Like I would have been judgmental. I would have been uh, maybe a little very orthodox in terms of the way I think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe being outside, having that exposure, meeting a lot of people, meeting people from different strata of society, different cultural backgrounds, changed my perspective towards life and people in general. And
Right.
this is what happens to all of us, and that's how I mean shapes our life. I mean, this is what life is.
Yeah. So I guess we've all
Change
been
is the
there.
only constant.
Yeah. So,
But
I
yes, the
think,
core values should not change.
yeah.
Like as a human being, if that respect for people, that love for people, that should not change. That should not change. And mm, uh, two things that have always stayed constant with me, that I learned from my family: give respect to the elders and give love and affection to the younger ones. That is something that you cannot pretend,
Mm-hmm.
and it should come from within. And that has
Partha,
stayed with me.
uh, if I know you, I also know that you read a lot of books. If you could
Not a lot, but yeah,
yeah,
sometimes.
okay. If you could, if given a chance, if you could convert one book into a cinema, what would be that book?
I would love to try, convert two books. One would be Animal Farm.
Oh wow.
I would love to
Okay.
make it into a graphic
It
thing
was
like
a
film.
banned book for a very
Huh, huh.
good span of time. It was a banned book, but okay,
It
that's a
had to be because when you make a political satire, it
um,
offends a lot of people.
absolutely
So I would love to convert Animal Farm into a movie, and I would love to do either Chance or The Krishna Key by Ashwin Sanghi. Is one director who appeals to me a lot. One writer who appeals to me a lot. I mean, the way he writes, the way he kind of juxtaposes mythology with the current scenario,
you're
and
right.
the way he researches things, and there's so much of research that goes into his writings, and it's brilliant, and still it's appealing and very engaging, very entertaining, and at the same time it makes sense.
Right.
I would love to convert those two books into movies. I mean, if I am given a chance, and if I get that kind of a production support, which cannot happen in Odia
Let's hope
cinema
and
right
pray.
now, definitely. I mean,
So if you could change one thing about the current scenario of the Odia cinema industry, what would be it?
I would love to change the
Economic dynamics?
economic dynamics. That's the first thing, that it has to be monetized first. I mean, unless and until a lot of people ask me about the level of professionalism in Odisha, or the Odia film fraternity, whatever we have. It cannot be professional unless and until you have professionals. And for professionals, it has to be monetized. When everything has to be controlled with a very strict or shoestring budget, you cannot get proper professionals, like horses for courses. If I'm doing a movie which needs really great audiovisual aesthetics, I will have to hire people who can get those things done. And for
Right.
that, there has to be a certain budget. I mean, you cannot go and beg
But
every time.
personally speaking, there have been movies that have been made on garage budgets and they've done tremendously well with the
Huh, but that
population.
cannot happen every time. I mean, you have to survive also. I mean, unless or until how will you run your kitchen? You
Oh,
tell me. I
right.
mean, how will you run your kitchen? You cannot do that every time.
You
See,
can do it as a pet
we
project,
have done
maybe. Yeah.
projects here where we have compromised on everything. I've given my heart and soul to those projects, and we have worked together and brought out good subjects, but nothing happened out of it. Like people here, they don't believe in your vision, and once your project is complete, they think, it's beautiful, but ye chalega ki nahi chalega. They don't market it, they don't do it like the way it should be done, and then again, I mean, they expect, and the next time someone approaches you, they expect that same quality, but they will expect, budget to nahi hai mere paas, kaise,
Hmm.
like, but how will you do it again and again? I mean,
Hmm.
if you
True.
don't live or you don't survive, I mean, how will your brain work, or how will your creativity work if you can't provide yourself with 2 square meals a day?
So, when you watch Hindi cinema, does that influence you as an actor?
Like, it doesn't have to be any language. I've seen cinema in so many different languages, and there have been great movies that I've watched in every language that I've watched cinema in.
So, name a movie from the last couple of years that you would have loved to be a part of.
12th fail.
Which character would you
Of
play?
course, the protagonist, Manoj Sharma.
Okay. But you look too rich for to be Manoj Sharma.
I can be, see, as I said, I'm an actor. I mean, you give me that character in Boffin, if you see, I mean, nobody believes that that's me. And when I showed pictures to people,
Mm-hmm.
nobody could believe that's me.
Okay.
So I can be, I mean, I got very less time for preparation, I mean, to prepare for that character. Only thing that got me into the zone was the long beard that I had, because I had left shaving or trimming during that COVID phase. I was at home only, so I just left it like that, and that worked for that character.
Mm-hmm.
But I had very less time to prepare for that character. Had I got little more time, I would have been unrecognizable at all. I mean, completely, I would have been unrecognizable. So you could not have recognized me at all. So given a chance, I can be. I mean, you're talking about 12th fail. I can be that character.
You're right.
You give me time and space, and
So
I'll be
that's
in that
one
zone.
movie.
That's definitely one movie. And I've watched so many movies. I mean, again, I mean, I have to think about it, because it's a question that I need some time to think. Like, I've seen some amazing movies in the last couple of years, and I would also love to do an action film like Vikram, and
Oh, nice.
I loved it. I mean, I would have loved to do Vijay Sethupathiy's character, or Fahad Fazil's character. I
Mm-hmm.
would have loved to do that. I mean, those are amazing characters, and of course, for the Vikram guy, you had to be 60 plus, and I mean, I cannot fit in that
I
age
mean, plus the
zone.
ears also add some edge to your personality, which was well justified by the character played.
Ha
Huh.
ha ha. Of course, I mean,
Yeah.
and Kamal Hassan is one of the finest
Best
actors of this
actors we
country. I
have,
mean,
yes.
we have grown up watching him,
So, do you
and
have a role model in the state?
in the States, see, I won't say role model, but there have been really great actors in Odisha
Mm-hmm.
who have inspired me a lot, be it Vijay Mahathi sir. I loved watching Joyram Samal as an actor when I was a kid. I have loved watching Maheshwata ma'am performing, and recently I'm totally impressed by and in complete awe of Mr. Chaudhary Joyprakash Das, who played the grandfather character in Falguna Chaitra. I love him so much. I mean, every time I watch him or every time I walk with him, I'm so much in awe that I just keep observing him. He's brilliant.
Right.
So
Where do you see yourself as an actor in the next 5 years?
I want to be a global superstar.
Oh, wow. Amen to that. And but
Amen.
but it
Yeah.
comes with a condition, because you see, I mean, people have said things about things they want, and it has manifested into real life, right? And it has all happened on podcast couches. You never know, I might be lucky for you, and this might actually turn true. So this you
It
know
will
like
turn true.
so you'll have to allow us to interview again.
Of course. See,
Once you become a global superstar, you still have to take my calls.
definitely, see, this one thing that will never change with me as a human being, that core value will always remain the same. I know money can't spoil me. Money can't spoil me,
Only
because
people with money can say that. You give me money, I'll spoil myself.
that's a different thing. Like spoiling yourself with things and all. As I mentioned, that I'm not a very materialistic person. That's why I can say this very proudly. Money won't change me. It can't. It won't change me. The basic core values that I have as a human being, that is not going to change, because people who knew me from 15, 20 years back, they see the same Partha in me, other than, of course, the growing up,
Physical.
the physical changes, which has been very minimal also. And of course, the maturity that has added, or that has come up with the experience. Barring that, there's been no change in the person that I am, like the core person, that the love and
So,
affection I give
hoping
to people.
that down the line, 5 years, you become a global superstar. I pray to God that it happens before 5 years down the line. And you still take my calls and you still say
Yes,
yes to my podcast.
yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
absolutely. It has been lovely having you on podcast on Tea with Tanya. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with us. And I had a lovely time talking to you, and I hope you had
The
the same.
pleasure is all mine, Tanya, because I love talking like this, when we get questions that actually are very sensible, and very, in terms of questioning also, it's very creative, that you have to think and answer. And you have to think in terms of, like, not be diplomatic, but think as in, like, what could have been the reason for this. It's actually, you have to upgrade yourself intellectually, those are the interviews that I love attending or being a part of, and I loved it thoroughly.
Thank you so much, Partha. It was lovely, lovely having you on board. This has been a fun, fun, fun episode. Partho has spilled beans on everything from his career as a theater artist to a very strong male actor in the state to maybe having a future in politics. Do give us a like if you like the content we bring to you. And see you guys in the next episode with a cup of tea in a cozy nook somewhere on your bed or a sofa or wherever you can find yourself in. Do not forget to share our channel and do give it a subscribe and press the bell icon. Signing off, this is Taniya from Tea with Taniya.